Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to the American Made and Paid Show. Hope you guys are all doing well. Shout out to Tony for sending us a lot of resources. We really appreciate it. We can dive into some of that stuff. A lot of the whole Asian and Black dynamics, not something that we've concluded that's rooted primarily in racism, but in class structure, and obviously a lot of the prejudice that is being felt amongst our different demographics of people comes down to the close proximity in low-income neighborhoods. So when we see violent crimes that happen, right? I mean, I think what Professor Dreg said in yesterday's episode about how, it's like these people who are committing crimes, not just towards Asians, but towards all people, right? People who are poor in low-income neighborhoods, whether it be Black, Hispanic. I hate to be that guy who's stereotyping a little bit here, but it's true. One thing I wanted to shift gears in and talk about a little bit more serious in today's episode is going to be a little bit of a tough but unavoidable topic because it's becoming more and more common every day, but people are continuously being desensitized to it, which is the mainstreaming or the acceptance of pedophilia. It's absolutely everywhere. Obviously when people talk about pedophilia, right, it's something that we obviously are going to condemn. It's not something that we accept. However, it's shocking because all you guys have to do is look around. And I hate to say it, but the month of June is Pride Month, right? And it's even more prevalent when you see little kids with men in bars and clubs and all that kind of stuff. The drag culture, especially with Desmond is Amazing, the child drag star. I mean, I don't understand how when people talk about the Me Too movement and they talk about consent, why they can't also talk about this in the same vein and actually be accepting of this type of thing. I don't understand why this is something that people in the liberal media want to normalize. They would normalize pedophilia and advocate for half-naked men posing around with children, and they won't actually talk about, the real nature, what the real crime is here between men and women. It's like it's selective ignorance the way I look at this, right? And it's interesting because I think that ideally it comes down to selfishness is what it comes down to. Progressivism, in my opinion, or I think as a fact, is just this sort of, if we live without morals and we live in our natural state, right? Independent from the judgment of other people. That's the big thing. Free of judgment. I can like whoever I want. I can screw whoever I want to screw. Love is, is all. No, it's not love. It's lust. And it harms people. And, this is just one man's opinion here, but I don't know, Professor Dreg, what do you think? I have more to say on this, but I just want to hear your input because the normalizing of pedophilia, especially in this month of June, is very, very prevalent. And I don't have to go into graphic detail about it, but I mean, come on. Like, it's just, where does it end, right?
Well, the thing is, like, I said this before, I believe, it's not even belief, this is a biological fact. And I'm almost positive that the Bible backs what I'm saying, because we really cannot speak about this without speaking about religion. So in this arena, I believe, well, it's not a matter of belief, I know that science and religion actually agrees on this. So the thing is like this, people have to realize and really get it in their heads that when we are born, we're all born, and especially if that doctrine in Romans is true, we are all born bisexual or with the ability to be bisexual.
The ability to practice bisexuality.
Or practice either one. You could practice being a, gay dude, or you could practice being a straight dude. But circumstances sometimes doesn't give you a choice. If you're in prison, you don't really have a choice. If you're going to get raped or gang raped in prison, that's not a choice. It's so that, and because you have to realize, why is the human body built to practice homosexuality or bisexuality? Why? What is the biological function? And it's a thing. This thing is this thing of homosexuality. It's a really horrifying experience. And it's not homosexuality. It's if you're going to practice anal sex, it is a horrifying practice, just on a medical, just on a scientific level. Just think of the just pure science of just engaging in anal sex. It's, especially if it was done by rape or something like that, it's not a pleasant experience. It just isn't. But the thing is like this, and this is when it gets into really evil type of things. And but before we get into that, let's just get into before I start to go off on my tangents on why things happen. But I have to, because see, your opening statement is this, the normalization of pedophilia. And so the question naturally becomes, well, wait a minute, as a listener, do I even agree with this statement of pedophilia being normalized? And the answer is, hell yeah, it is. Of course it's being normalized. It has to be normalized, because one day they hope the things that were done by like Coach Sandusky. You see, that's the dude, Joe Paterno. I think Joe Paterno was the head coach, and he had an assistant coach of Sandusky who was molesting boys.
Yeah.
And not just a couple. I think he was molesting like tens, like 10, 20, 30.
Yeah.
Young boys. And they used to hear the sex going on in the shower, and that everybody was just like looking the other way. It's like, oh, it's that crazy coach again, just banging another boy, but this is the thing. The reason why they want to normalize, and when I say they, it's basically a group of sick men who really love being with boys. And this group of men are headquartered right in here. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe like 4 blocks away from where I'm at. And it's in San Francisco. This group is called NAMBLA. And it stands for the National Association of Man, Boy, Love. Wait, what's it stand for?
Yeah, you talked about that earlier.
Yeah, so the thing is like this. And by no means is NAMBLA the only group behind this. But anyway, NAMBLA stands for the North American Man Boy Love Association.
Man.
And so groups like NAMBLA, they have very high profile people in their group.
Right.
And this is why, like, oh God, like I can get into tons of stories, but especially from LA, because this is all verifiable. Like in Miramontes Elementary School in LA, dude, the teacher got caught spoon feeding his own semen to his kids in class. And this is like 3rd grade.
Yeah, this is messed up.
But this is, that's an extreme thing of pedophilia. But in LA, it's huge. This whole NAMBLA stuff, because we're just, instead of calling it, pedophilia, I'll just call it NAMBLA.
Let's talk about the NAMBLA organization, because it's in the most progressive cities. It's located in NYC and San Francisco, and it's a advocacy organization that's actually seeking to abolish age of consent laws, which would criminalize involvement with minors.
But that's my point. So instead of calling it pedophilia, I'm just going to call it NAMBLA stuff.
Okay.
So that way people don't lose that, hey, look, there's real people behind this. So anyway, so a real powerful NAMBLA member is a really high-ranking politician and a very powerful lobbyist from the LGBTQ whatever, LGBT, yeah, right, LGBTQ community, whatever.
Yep.
So, and he's the dude, like, he started all these like museums and whatever. And anyway, so, and the thing is, these people want it to be mainstreamed, so that way people don't say things like, oh, well, gay people have a higher tendency to molest children. But
Yeah.
the thing is, they do. In the Catholic Church, they allowed gay dudes to become priests. And what do those priests do? They molested boys by the hundreds.
Yeah.
And it probably equaled to tens of thousands over the decades. And it's not a secret now. The Catholic Church is paying out money.
Yeah.
They made a movie, Ben Affleck, and what's that other dude? His partner.
Wait, not Ben Affleck. If you're talking
Yeah.
about Spotlight, the movie Spotlight.
No. This is an old school movie, because this has been going on for decades. This isn't like a new thing. Oh, Catholic priest. Look, the Catholic Church was having a hard time spreading their word of Christianity. So they started recruiting and it just became fashionable. Like, because look, the hard thing about being a priest in the Catholic religion is you can't have sex.
Yeah, you got to stay celibate.
Yeah. So come on, no dudes are, you know what I mean? Like, most dudes aren't going to be like, yeah, I want to be a Catholic priest because I don't want to bone down. Of course they want to have sex. But so there was a lack of priests in the Catholic religion. So what did they do? They recruited men who were gay. Why? Because they figured gay dudes don't have sex, so it'd be easier for them. And obviously we saw how that experiment went. They were molesting boys.
So the aspect of homosexual tendencies with pedophilia, right, is that, a lot of the data, especially this recent study with over close to 1,000 participants, right? That's the thing, is that with homosexual men and women, they usually report a significantly higher rate of childhood molestation than heterosexual men and women.
Yeah,
46%.
Here's the thing about, and this is when we have to stay ghetto in this topic. We really do, because studies are all full of shit. Look, I've never met a gay person who was never molested as a kid. And that's the fact. I know tons of gays. It's just how it works. I've worked, because, through nursing and they all have the same stories. They were molested as kids, all of them, without exception. I've never met any gay person under the age of.
Well, here's the thing. Our listeners would say, well, Professor Dreg, you don't know all gay people. I was born gay.
I don't need to know all gay people. I don't need to know.
Explain that in detail for people who may be pulling their hairs out.
But here's the thing. Studies can be faked. We fake studies as a participant in studies. Yeah. I fake the results all the time. It's what people do. There's like, these studies are all full of shit. They're not. Because
you're right. For every study where you'll find that, you'll find another study that refutes that.
Yeah. Because why? Because you cannot. It's not absolute. It's not math. But my math of meeting all the gay people that I met, all having the same thing of being molested, or look, you can watch Short Bus. That movie is gross, but there is one point in the movie when they're all talking serious, and guess what? They're all sharing their abusive stories when they were kids. And that's the thing. There is no such thing. It's a fairy tale to believe that the gay person in School of Rock, that's child, it's just born gay that way. It's called sexual orientation for a reason. You are oriented into your sexual tendencies, whether it's through media, subconscious, it doesn't matter. But most gay people
never thought of it that way. That's interesting. We should focus on that.
No, but this is why it's see, because when I listen to you, I don't, just like all listeners, I believe, our listeners are probably on the smarter end of the spectrum. Not to brag, but
No, they are. They're independent
about,
thinkers. Yeah.
well, not just independent thinkers, but come on, we speak about like the stuff that we speak about is not spoken about anywhere. Not any, even the people I respect, like Dr. Sam, they won't touch things like this because it's not that it's taboo or anything like that, because it's not taboo. This is mainstream. You are correct. It is mainstream, but the answer is, why is it being mainstreamed? It is being mainstreamed, like this whole NAMBLA stuff is mainstreamed. So because obviously these people are not alpha, right? Because remember we defined alpha before, but if you haven't heard that podcast, an alpha person is a person who takes care of the weakest. They're strong. They might not be the physical strongest of that pack, but that pack needs a leader, and it has to be the alpha, somebody who knows how to be super strong, but at the same time knows how to take care of the weakest of their pack. So that way the pack survives. So it's these people who advocate for NAMBLA stuff, and they've been around since like 78. Seriously, like that's pretty gross when you think about, like, this stuff is prevalent. Like when we're growing up, these dudes were like, you just knew it. So anyway, so going back to the whys, they're mainstreaming this. It's because these types of homosexuals are what we call super predators. Because there's normal predators.
Sure.
And there's the ones like Coach Sandusky
that will actually go after people
predators.
who are
right. Seriously, they're super predators, because like in prison, those are just predators.
So actually, let's focus on that, because you just gave me a click because I was paying attention, like close attention. There is no greater indication of restricted freedoms than a prison cell.
Yeah.
And with that being said, when we take away freedoms, you're essentially taking away human rights. So people actually revert to a very, very carnal predator-prey dynamic with each other. And the way you kind of exert that.
Yeah, see, that's why we need the Bible in here. See, that's a very
but think about it. That's why when we talk about prisons, your perspective is not just, we got to stop prisons because it costs too much money. No, it's robbing people of their human rights. And then you see a pattern. And when Ben Carson said that whole thing, it's like, dude, he went to prison, he came out gay. When you,
but it's true.
But the thing is, when you reduce a human being to that level and remove their freedoms and their rights, and the carnal lust thing takes over and everything, you're just an animal. You're not even a human being anymore. That's why when you say super predator, that immediately kind of makes me think of like an apex predator that has very little regard for you as a person. You're not a person. You're an object. You're like literally just a piece of meat. Because here's the thing. You tell me about this coach freaking getting it on with third graders. I mean, come on. How messed up do you have?
That was a teacher, a real teacher in LA.
Yeah. So
like people don't get it. See, why do they want all these illegal immigrants? Because like in Metamonte's elementary school, those I don't want to say wetbacks, but gosh darn it, those
that term is gonna get people riled up. But.
I know, Jesus, but that's what. Okay, so that school was flooded with illegal immigrants, and in Mexico, it's acceptable. Like, it's acceptable to go ahead and have sex with children. It's just what they do. There's always going to be that one kid in the neighborhood that's going to just be the sexual toy for everybody, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl.
And we've established that with Talks of the Ghetto, because that's just how it is.
Yeah, no, and just like we said, pee-pee girl. In our ghetto, we had pee-pee girl. She was like some demonic. She was all into witchcraft and crazy shit. But that's because she was abused sexually. You know what I mean?
It really messes people up.
Yeah, no, but that's the point. It's like, because people always say, it's like, oh, you're such a hypocrite because now you're anti-sex. Like, no, I'm not anti-sex. I just think that people should be an adult, like cigarettes.
Yeah.
want, jewelry.
Don't have sex until you're married, or wait till you're 25.
Yeah, yeah, when your brain is more developed. And it's the truth. It's like you could do so much as a kid
And
if
here's the
you're not.
thing.
Well, no, but think
We've
about
also established that you can think clearly without it. You can actually
Yeah.
think clearly without
sex.
indulging in sex. Yeah.
No, but think about this. If you went through your entire teenage years and college years without the pressure of trying to pick up on broads, imagine how much more successful you'll be and further along.
I actually want to say this, that I actually know some friends of mine who are virgins, who actually I mean, I envy them to some degree, and they're really successful. I know a dude who makes like 300 grand a year. He's like 25, and he just didn't waste his time on women. But the thing is, he's interesting because he wasn't a nerd. He was just focused. He's just like, and he was one of those guys where it's like it's not that he couldn't get laid. It's that he's more mature than me. He could recognize that, well, I want a wife, but I also want to make money. And it's almost weird because that childlike faith and focus where kids who want to build forts and everything, he didn't lose that. He carried that into adulthood. The world beats that out of you, right? But he carried that into his adult years, and now he's smashing it. Like, it's like,
no, but because
really worth giving all that stuff up. Like,
see, because sex makes science seem boring. It just does. Like, if you're always focused on sex, guess what? To learn science, and there's a science behind building a fort. Make no mistake about it. If you're going to build a fort, you have to understand slopes and how to build something on a grade of like 3% versus 1.5%.
Barometric pressure, you got to know all that stuff.
Well, you don't even really know. I mean, depending on what it's like, how advanced the architecture is going to be, but but just for basic kids, you know what I mean? Like,
by the way, that guy's an engineer, so he takes things apart.
But oh God, why don't you know it? But it's true. Like kids learn a lot of like just like, because like when you play, because pool is the easiest thing, like the easiest sport. Well, it's not a sport, but it's the easiest game to understand how important math is because without even thinking about it. No, trigonometry.
Trigonometry, that's right. Geometry.
But it's the truth. And it's the same thing with building basic forts. Your natural, and even basketball, like basketball in theory is like a game of calculus. and the thing is, it's like, it's amazing how if you're boning down on people, you're not going to be engaging in activities that give you that natural ability to understand advanced forms of math. And so there's a lot of reasons to normalize pedophilia, or as we like to say, NAMBLA stuff.
NAMBLA stuff, yeah.
Because the thing is like this, if everybody is bogged down on survival instincts, because again, we established that super predators are the ones who are benefiting from this NAMBLA stuff. So that is the why. Why is this happening? Why is it being normalized? Well, because who are the people honestly going after the children? Well, gay people. That's who. It's not, and it's very specific. It's not lesbian women doing this. You don't see lesbian women going down, picking up on hot 13-year-olds.
Sometimes you do, just not as often.
No, but think about it. Not even like, but you got to think about how many like old, like 40, 50-year-old, because the thing is like this, you can't compare like a 20-something-year-old gay dude, or not even a gay dude. You know, like you see teachers, you see these teachers like in their 20s picking up on dudes who are teenagers. You see this all the time now. It's a common thing. When they go to jail for whatever. But the thing is like this, is that really bad? Mm-hmm. See, because the thing is like this, that's nitpicking. It really is. It's nitpicking. Like if a 19-year-old boy is dating a 15-year-old girl, is that really bad? It's a 4-year difference. You know what I mean? Is that really bad? And the answer is no, that's not pedophilia. That's not what we're talking about. When we say pedophilia, it has to be in its truest form. There's a great movie with Keanu Reeves, and this made me actually like Keanu Reeves, because I'm thinking this is the only movie that ever honestly showed what it's like to be homeless. And you know who Joaquin Phoenix is?
Yeah, of course, Johnny Cash.
Yeah. So he had a brother named Joaquin Phoenix. No. River Phoenix.
Yeah, that's right. River.
Joaquin Phoenix had a brother named River Phoenix, but he killed himself. So he died early, but he did a movie called My Own Private Idaho. And that movie shows what it's like with the super predator. And it's an old movie. I mean, I don't even know when it came out, but I'm pretty sure it came out like in the 80s or the 90s, like early 90s, like had to be before 92. It's an old ass movie. I believe it was in the 80s. So in this movie, it shows like the movie opens up with River Phoenix giving like a blowjob to an old ass dude, like somebody like, you know, who's 50 or 40.
Yeah.
And that's what super predators do. This is what pedophilia is. Pedophilia is an old dude picking up on young people, like that teacher in Miramontes in
or a famous example is Subway guy.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh man, this is what. Let me see. Jared Fogle, Subway Eat Fresh. He used to be fat, and then he lost all that weight because he ate Subway. And Subway.
Oh yeah. That's Subway.
That guy.
I was thinking of Subway because, dude, when I think Subway, I don't think restaurant chains. I think, you know, on the trains.
No, Subway the sandwich guy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
He was a convicted pedophile. That guy.
Well, see, but no, it's true. It's like, hey, that dude's hiding in plain sight. But that's what they do. See, that's a good example too, because they hide in plain sight. They pretend to be normal people in our
It's called grooming. Grooming is a big part of being a pedophile. I mean,
yeah, like Michael Jackson. You know, like there's Michael Jackson.
I'm still upset about that, man. I love Michael Jackson, but damn, I can't. After that documentary, it's like I can't be like those people who like O.J. Simpson. It's like, you know, he killed people.
No, but here's the thing. What OJ did is totally acceptable in my book. It just is. He got pissed off. I mean, who did he kill? He killed the boyfriend and his wife. You know what I mean? The one that was cheating on him. That's just a crime of passion and you know, shit like that.
It kind of goes back to that whole street defensiveness that you talked about. It doesn't make it right. It really doesn't make it right. But
it doesn't make it right. But come on, OJ was an old man. This dude knew karate. He was a black belt or some BS like that, and he thought, well, boning down your wife, and because come on, are you kidding me? You have the audacity to not just have sex with my wife, but go to my house. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, get the F out of here. And then I bet you money that's how it went down, and OJ just went apeshit on him and just killed them both. You know what I mean? Because, you know, dude, come on, OJ was a powerful, great man. I mean, come on, look, OJ's life was getting, like, not just getting, but beating the crap out of 300-pound men, just busting right through them, just running over men. That was his job, to run over 300-pound men. So some dude, because he thinks he knows karate, who's a black belt, honestly believes he is strong enough to take on a dude whose entire life was running over people. That was his job. He's a savage. You know, he is a savage man. So
you don't want to mess with that guy, but this guy's, yeah.
But, you know, the dude was half his age. You know, some dude in his 20s.
Yeah.
You could take on a 50-year-old man.
Ron Goldman, that's his name. Ron Goldman.
No, I think Ron Goldman might have been the dad. His father. I don't know.
No.
I know the last name is Goldman for sure.
Yeah.
Ron Gold. Yeah, either way. So I mean, those guys aren't important, but that's my point. Come on now. I mean, it's just a reality. Like, dude, I'd probably do something like that. I'd OJ somebody. If the counselor had a boyfriend and they came to my house, I'd probably kill them both. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to marry somebody my entire life. I don't marry anybody. Then the one time I get married, I trust me. It's those things like crimes of passion, as we say, that's a hard thing to deal with, dude. Like, because come on, you have a wife. Like, there's certain things that are off limits. Like,
Yeah.
especially in the ghetto, the things that are off limits is your mom and your lady. Everything else goes except for your wife and your lady. You don't. That's why I'll never understand swinging and nah, man. That's my wife. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your wife can't do certain things. Like, if
Yeah.
you get married, you literally give up the things you enjoy the most, like oral sex, because your wife has to kiss your kids, But it's the truth. It's like, come on. So if you put up all these conditions on your wife, and come on, you just don't fuck with my mom, don't fuck with my wife, and we'll be good.
Okay, but let's take it back to the
the whole NAMBLA stuff.
Because
But let me finish the NAMBLA stuff and
Right.
why this is really important stuff, because we went on the tangent with. But the thing is, NAMBLA people, they advocate for this so that way their actions don't look so horrific. Because and
it's
I
an
want to give.
excuse, is what it is.
Yeah, well, now remember what Milo Yiannopoulos said. Milo Yiannopoulos didn't say, "Oh, we should all have sex with children." He never said that. He wasn't advocating for that.
Yeah.
What Milo Yiannopoulos was advocating for was nothing. But what did he try to do? He mainstreamed his own personal experience, and he goes, "Yeah, when I was a teenager, I had sex with somebody in their 30s. And it was a positive experience for me," which may be, but 99% of the time, it will not be a positive experience when somebody who is, because look, even in normal life, like in Europe, if a man in their 30s dates a woman who's 16 years old, is that going to be a positive experience for that 16-year-old or a negative experience? In all honesty, about 90% of the time, it will be a negative experience for that 16-year-old girl.
I can see that. But here's one thing I want to just bring in contrast, because I want to hear your perspective on this. Now, granted, I think it's safe to say that our listeners are intelligent enough to know where we stand on these kinds of things, especially with everything that we've talked about. But back in the day, 16-year-olds got married to 20-year-olds. 16-year-olds got married to 18-year-olds, right? And
well, in the Middle East, they get married to old men.
That's weird. That's weird. But here's the thing: in certain
like
in certain faiths, and also just I think traditionally, right? You're at the ripest age for having children. This is separate. By the way, I just want to be sure that this is separate from dating, fiddling around. But like, if you got married at 16, I don't think that's, you know what I mean? Is that a problem if a woman got married to a man at 16 but wasn't dating a man?
Well, see, but again, I'll repeat what I just said. The Prophet Muhammad was married to like a 4-year-old.
Okay, that's crazy.
Or a 6-year. I forgot how old this girl was, but she was single digits, and I'm pretty sure it was like 5 or 6. So, does that mean the Prophet Muhammad had sex with a 4-year-old, 5-year-old? I have no idea. But he was married to a child. And, so like, we don't know. Like, I honestly don't know what happens in these types of things in other countries, but I do remember, like breaking up sex rings with involving 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old, 4-year-old. They were just doing oral sodomy versus like penetration, but still, you don't expose children to things like that. And I from what I remember, somebody telling me is, "Oh, no, they weren't having sex. They were just grooming her to be, and when she got older, to be the wife of the prophet and all this other stuff." And I'm thinking, oh boy. And I don't want to use Islam as an example of what happens when you mainstream pedophilia, but that's why No,
But
because
see,
come
no,
on.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong because we need to tie that in as well because
No,
it's
but
acceptable in that faith. It is. It is. It's
no. But see, but this is my point. I mean, because no, because this is actually
now you're laughing, so I'm laughing now. Too.
no. But this is the thing. Can you imagine though? Like, this is how like we become an Islamic nation is through NAMBLA. It's crazy, but
You know,
but
I think you're more right than you think because
no,
that's exactly how
it's not a matter of
infiltration
being right
works.
or wrong. It's a matter of reality. This is the reality. Like, because people don't understand why the United States is the greatest country on the planet. We are the only place on the planet where you honestly have to be 18 to
So
be.
here's the deal too. And this is where, unfortunately, I was listening to a Baptist preacher, and he also said this about it. Our Christian values, right, and our sort of advocacy for love and freedom made us the greatest country on the planet, but it also made us the most tolerant. And I have to say that when some of these Baptist folks put their foot down and say, no, we will not have, in their languages, no, you don't give yourself over to a reprobate mind. That's what they say. You won't let these kinds of things in. And here's the thing, they're not preaching hate, but they know, like, see, here's the thing. And this Baptist preacher was like, no, Christianity to some degree with its values let us down because y'all are nice to everybody. It's like, come on in, there's room. That's the attitude. In America, we have this attitude of come on in, there's room. That's it. And what does that convey? It conveys that you care, but it also conveys that you're going to just be complacent and complicit when it comes to these kinds of influences. It made us soft.
It's that way now. It wasn't that way before. Because think about this. That's why I honestly believe like that the United States is a unique branch of Christianity in its truest form, unlike other Christian countries in Europe. Because
she's mentioned in the Bible specifically.
who?
In the future, America.
Oh well, I don't know. See, I haven't read any of that.
Wish no. I'm serious. It's very.
I'm like, what?
No, she
like,
is.
seriously, I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, see, but I don't know the Bible. That's
In the last book, when John, during John's vision in Patmos, one of Jesus' disciples, John, wrote a book called Revelation on the island of Patmos, refers to America as the great whore, Babylon the Great. And it's kind of true when you read it in context, because what does America do? Lends itself out to everybody else. People just come in and take advantage of her.
Yeah, no, but
it's the truth.
No,
and John saw it in his vision. He predicted this.
No, and the thing is, and we're going to be the ones that are mainstreaming pedophilia. We are. It's this country. It's our media. Because like this dude from NAMBLA, you know, anyway, so because I don't want to out people, because that's not cool. But if you figure out who are these leaders in NAMBLA, you'll see they're very powerful people with a lot of ties in Hollywood. So, yeah, and so from that perspective, like when you're saying some dude, you know, like Notre Dame is, because I don't know who you're talking about, but not prophet, but you know, have you ever heard of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Okay, so
are you talking about the original like lady, or are you talking about the cathedral? Because there's the lady Notre Dame and
no. The dude, he was making all these predictions. He used to see the future. And
who's this guy?
Yeah, what is that? His name Notre Dame? Yeah, I think his name was Notre Dame. But anyway, so he saw the future, just like what you're talking about.
Well, John was given it specifically by God. You know.
Oh, well, I don't know any about, but that's my okay. So John,
like
and, you know, people who could see the future. I don't want to get into that because that's real complicated. Like, I really don't know the Bible. No, but because it gets into time travel and stuff like that, and it's real complicated to talk about things like that because you really got to be good at math to understand, you know, like multi-universes and the, you know, how the timeline really works. But I'm convinced it's in a loop. But anyway, going back to this whole NAMBLA stuff. See, the reason why Islamic faith isn't mainstream is because, and same thing with the Jewish faith. The Jews are trying to even latch themselves onto Christianity by saying Judeo-Christian, whatever. But it's not. It has not, like, this country has nothing to do with the Jewish faith. This country has nothing to do with the Islamic faith. So even Obama was trying to say, oh yeah, Islam was at the founding of our, whatever. Everybody's trying to see, because that's like saying the Catholic faith was here in the beginning. Well, technically it kind of was, but it wasn't founded on Catholic principles. It just wasn't. It was colonized with a lot of Catholic principles, but it wasn't founded on Catholic principles. So it was founded on a unique branch of Christianity that wasn't really Baptist, wasn't Pentecostal, wasn't Catholic. It wasn't. It just wasn't. It was a unique branch of Christianity. Right. That's what the United States was founded on, and it's unique. I mean, I don't think there's any type of religion that can describe truly what America is, because the thing is about what you're talking about. What America does. America can withstand the grossest people on the planet and convert them to a better life. That's what America, that's why I know America's the greatest country on this planet, because when you come from a foreign country where it's normal to have sex with kids.
And there's wars and hunger and all the other issues in addition to that.
But forget about the wars and stuff. Let's take all that out. Let's pretend every single country has no wars. Everybody's rich. But when you come to this country and everybody's like, you know what? Don't touch her. She's under 18. Don't touch her. That's a jailbait. That's what they call jailbait.
Yeah.
It's like, that's jailbait right there. And these foreign people go, what are you talking about, jailbait? My country, you could bone down any broad that's had a quinceañera, right? That's the whole Mexican thing.
Or not just the quinceañera, bat mitzvah.
Yeah, like that's when you become a man. But it's the truth. Yeah. It don't matter. So yeah, there's not a lot of Jews in the ghetto, man. So I did not see that one coming.
But no, it was a funny joke, right? Because it rhymed. Quinceañera, bat mitzvah. That's
a bar mitzvah. But see, it goes back to my point. See, Jews, that's why it's not a worldwide religion, because they too suffer from that pedophilia stuff. It's just how it works. But
I mean, the only example I can think of off the top of my head is Woody Allen, but.
No, not just, but all of these people. Come on.
No, I know, but that's the only, and they're the forefront of
Hollywood,
yeah.
Hollywood is ran by Jews. It's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. Yeah.
And they're the ones that invented the casting couch. And in the old days, what was that dude? There was a famous
porn actor, Ron Jeremy.
No, he's porno. But no, but there's a what was that? There in the old days, actors used to run around with 13, 14-year-olds openly. No, I forgot the very famous guy, very famous actors. What was that other dude? Even Howard Hughes, the dude, the guy that was, it was just normal mainstream type of stuff. But eventually we figured out that, hey, look, and I forget, but it's one of the, and this is now a matter of law. Like, why did we become a nation where you have to be over 18 to get married? And in a court decision, and this is the truth, the reason why the government got involved with marriage was honestly to protect people from the Mormons. I'm not kidding you. Like the Mormons were a trippy cult. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things was like this, without naming the Mormons, they'd say things like, yeah, look, the reason why the courts are involved, or, the government's involved, is to protect, women from predators. Like, you just don't know. You have to protect a woman who's 14 from getting married to, being forced into marriage by some, person well above her age.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a knock on the Mormons, because, you know, they would do that. They would just marry a whole bunch of women, and, you know, whether it's 14, 30.
Oh man, you're right about that, because the pioneers of Mormons, of Latter-day Saints, I don't know if you know about this, Joseph Smith and Brigham Young.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know who Brigham Young
but
is, but I don't know anything
polygamy is a big
else.
thing. Polygamy and lots of kids. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, which is not right. It's wrong. But anyway, but the second aspect of the government getting involved in marriage was to stop a person from being a victim of getting STDs, because that was a real problem back in the day. Like, people don't realize, or even, you know, or they're never going to speak about this, but, you know, the death rate in the United States was about 25 to 30 people per 100,000 in the old days, in the Western days, when an old man can just go ahead and have sex with a 14-year-old and marry her.
mm-hmm.
And that's a practice was done in Mexico. Still done in Mexico, but it was mainstream way up into like 2002. That's when their Supreme Court made that practice illegal, of raping a chick and then forcing that dude to marry her if they got pregnant. No, that was
Mm-hmm.
that's a real thing. But anyway, so going back to the United States, it was a real thing that guys were giving chicks STDs. Because remember, if the murder rate is 25 to 30 per 100,000 every year, and that is like 90%, 95% is through domestic violence, imagine that versus the 5 people who get murdered per 100,000 in a city like Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
where that is just straight up black on black crime.
Yeah.
See, I mean, think about that. That's 5 to 10 times more than, and that was in every city. So can you imagine how bad it used to be for women with domestic violence? But guess what? Through America's unique branch of Christianity, they figured out not to do those things.
You know, that's interesting, because there was something about Protestant reform that also happened around the same time during America's founding, specifically at that same time.
Yeah, that's why it's unique.
Yeah, that's why, because Western countries had the Roman Catholic Church. It's been around for like 1,000+ years, you know?
No, but they allowed, like, think about it. Whoever Henry V was, he was marrying young broads. You know what I mean? It's always been a part. That's why in Europe, the age of consent is like 15. The dudes from the Young Turks are all advocating to drop the age of consent from 18 to 16. And it's just a very, as they say, liberal thing to do, is to drop the age of consent and be like Europe. But
yeah,
Europe is, you know, they have different types of Protestants and stuff like that, because the original Protestants didn't happen here in the United States. The United States developed, I'm telling you, it's a unique branch of Christianity where that is, you know, do no harm to others.
mm-hmm.
It's seriously, like, the whole point of the Constitution is to allow the pursuit of happiness,
right,
to everyone. And that's a unique branch of Christianity that most Christians don't and haven't figured out. You cannot hinder another person. That's a real thing. That's why prisons are bad. You don't have the right to hinder others. You know, and
right.
but you have a right to stop them, but you don't have a right to hinder their rights. You know, and that's why, like, you know, I'm starting to figure out why violence is bad. But anyway, but that's neither here nor there, because I know we're reaching the hour mark pretty soon. But like we got to go back to NAMBLA.
But honestly, this throws it into context, because it gives you the progression. It gives you the timeline as to some of the inconsistencies, right? Not just with faith, but just of how humans are throughout time, where America almost had to be born out of that. It had to be like, oh,
No,
that's like real progress, not
but
progressive.
remember this: the whole point of Christianity is you gotta love everybody. You gotta love these fags. You gotta love these drug addicts. You do. You gotta love them. You gotta accept them in because they're not gonna change overnight. The same way how, marrying a 14-year-old to a 40-year-old man, it didn't change overnight. It took time, just like slavery. Slavery did not end overnight. It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It took about 100 years. But that's what Christianity can do for your society when it's practiced the right way. And that's why I'm a big advocate for it, because it helped almost everybody on the streets. Think about all of these skateboarding dudes, because they're like the only ones who survived the streets, because they had skateboarding. And and I could say this openly because Steve Caballero is a born again Christian, as he says. He's self-proclaimed born again Christian. But having that type of faith really does help you. It really does. And it helps you understand why bad things happen to you as a kid. See, now, when you don't have that type of faith, when bad things happen to you, you rationalize it in a way to make it a positive experience, the same way Milo did.
Mm-hmm.
Milo rationalized what happened to him, and because it's not a bad thing. And it might not have been a bad thing for him.
Right.
But he has to realize he is unique. He is probably, because I know people who were, when we were growing up,
mm-hmm.
I was having sex with a lot of adults. It just was, you know what I mean? But the thing is, it's like, did it mess me up in my head? No, because it was a means for me to survive. So it's a lot different for boys than I guess it is for girls. But I'm pretty sure there's some girls that were like, well, actually, I do know one girl. One girl was messed up in the head, but one of my partners, because weirdos are always going to be weirdos. I don't want to get into too much about that, but this one of the girls that was part of like our little sex child ring or whatever, she was one of, as we say, the victims. She was okay with everything. She able to manage to make money, and she didn't because like the dudes all survived it okay mentally.
Right.
And only one of the girls was able to keep it together. And she survived it, and she's successful to this day. And, she has a normal job, normal education, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like, you got to watch that movie, My Own Private Idaho. It's kind of like what we went through,
mm-hmm.
And there was like a ring, there was always that one creepy pedophile that was, helping us through everything. And you just didn't want to be, you don't want to be caught in their clutches. But the whole purpose, because I know we're ending, so I'll close it up. But the whole purpose of mainstreaming pedophilia
mm-hmm.
is to allow these super predators free reign over their sexual indulgences while looking like an upstanding person in the community. Can you imagine this person? Like, go look up NAMBLA. Anybody, well, I know they hide their identities, but you can kind of find out who they are. And these people are upstanding citizens in progressive cities, making policies in education, in athletics, in a lot of things where they have access to young people, mm-hmm. which is crazy. And that's why it's mainstream to allow these super predators free access to our children. Whether it's immigration, why the influx of immigration, not just to kill Black people, but to allow all these little children who are used to the culture of pedophilia. Because instead of advocating for, hey, look, assimilate to our culture, Assimilation, assimilation, assimilation. There's a reason why for assimilation, not just so because we can feel comfortable with you speaking English. So you can,
Believe me, that's the least of our concerns when we think about this.
No, it is. It's like, so
it
that
really
way,
is.
no, so that way you're not molesting kids. So that way you're not spreading your diseases. Because think about it. What's mainstream right now for, children and childcare? TB tests.
Mm-hmm.
We have to worry about TB. And because we talked about enterococci before, which is like VRE, the butt disease and stuff like that. But there's a lot of viruses, enteroviruses now that we got to worry about now. There's TB. There's all kinds of things that are acceptable in these other countries. And we have to worry about that because they don't want to assimilate. You know what I mean? They wipe their ass and blow their nose and don't wash their hands and they're touching everything. You know what I mean? Like, the United States is unique in hygiene. Like we wash our hands for everything. And, but that's not, there's a lot of other things because a lot of people believe, oh, you wash your hands and everything's cool. No. There's a lot more to it. But other people in other countries are just gross, because they don't think about other people. Think about it. How you can go to any country and you see people spitting everywhere. Like that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
That's not cool because you don't know what the hell you got. You got some weird disease and you're spitting on the floor. Dude, don't do that. Just swallow it. Yeah, but you got to consider others.
No, of course.
Bad. So pedophilia is bad. Spitting is bad. But that's my point. It is a unique branch of Christianity that America is. It's not Protestant. It's not Baptist. It's a unique branch of Christianity that makes people consider others. Seriously, like that's why people don't spit in the United States. That's why we don't have sex with, like the United States has the oldest age of consent around the world.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean,
but think about this. If you honestly become some kind of leader, and you are already a leader, but if a bigger leader, can you imagine your influence on other people? It's a unique branch. I mean, think about it. If the legal age becomes 21, not that we're advocating for that, but it's possible because people will follow your example. You become an example of your faith is through your behaviors. So right now, the examples we have is Hollywood, which is mainstreaming this NAMBLA stuff. But when other people become the examples, they follow that. And I'm not saying you're like Jesus or anything like that because I have no idea who he is. But
I'm not Jesus. I'm just one of his servants.
Yeah, but then if you become an example of what it's supposed to be like, then people will follow that. See, because I'm a bad example. You can't use me as an example because my life is fucked. No, but it's the truth. And that's why I don't want to be I'm nobody because I'm just a survivor of this crap. Like seriously, if you watch my own Private Idaho, my life was 50 times worse growing up as a kid. But I'm not complaining. I wouldn't change my life for the world because it allowed me to focus on what I needed to do. Like, because come on, I like knowing stuff. I do. It's like I love knowledge. Because people go like, how did you survive? I said, honestly, I survived through studying. I immersed myself with math. Seriously, like when I was running, because I was a sprinter. Like, during the fall, I ran cross country, and during the spring, we ran track.
Right.
In track, I was so good at it because I focused, like I felt no pain. Why? Because I was thinking about equations in my head.
That
and
also,
I felt nothing.
But also the pain of what you had to endure outside of that.
Yeah, well, see, but that's my point. I learned that ability by having a really messed up childhood.
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
And that, but it made me great, like in sports and in like this law stuff. It's like, because
I'm sure the counselor appreciates it a lot.
Yeah, no, but I could focus on things like no one's business, because if your mind can escape whatever you're going through, my God, but that's a biological function. And, and I have to say this, God made us with that ability to be bisexual and take a lot of punishment, because it allows our minds to develop. If you can't survive, or because I know it sounds like and that's when somebody goes,
Because
oh,
here's
that's
the
a
thing,
hypocritical statement.
and to also leave it on a positive note, if we're wrapping this up, people who have been molested have also turned away from it, have also decided to denounce it, put it out of their memory, forget. And the thing is, people are like, oh, well, you don't face it, you don't embrace it. It's like, no, I'm putting it out. I'm putting the lights out on an experience that doesn't do me any benefit, but that journey of healing yourself is what makes you stronger. So like you're not screwed because that happened to you, but at the same time, there are people who have decided, like, I mean, even people who, this is going to sound true, but it's like, I know people who have denounced homosexuality. They were like, that's it. Like,
Well, but here's the thing that a lot of people miss. See, now, if somebody would have told me a long time ago that God has no dominion over the carnal mind, it would have made a whole bunch of sense. No, because but think about it. Nobody ever talks about that. You're always taught that God controls everything, da 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 da. But he literally doesn't. It's in the Bible that he doesn't control everything. It literally said in that Roman thing that he doesn't control the carnal mind. He gave us free will. And with free will comes, it's like that Peter Parker moment with great
power, great responsibility.
Yeah.
But see, a lot of I've started to understand the Bible a little bit better now, in that we think about God's wrath, right? And then there's also God's love. But the thing is, some people may look at one thing and not address the other. When we address God's love, you also have to address God's wrath, vice versa. And here's the interesting thing. People say, well, God's all powerful. He's omnipotent and omnipresent, which means everywhere at all times, past and present and future, as well as all powerful. But explicitly, he gave us the right to choose. So now here's the thing. People are like, oh, why did he do that? It's like, he can take it away, but God doesn't change. If he decides that he wants to give man that ability, that's it. He's not going to go back on his word, so to speak. He's just going to say, okay, well,
But to answer your question, why did he do it? He did it so we can create for ourselves and have our own satisfaction for ourselves and create a country like America. That's why he did it. And I'm convinced, like, without knowing the Bible, I'm almost convinced that we were supposed to create a society like heaven, like heaven, instead of going out to some crazy building of Tower of Babel and creating something that's going to kill us, because here's the thing, and this is where it gets into really complicated physics. Because, the thing is like this. I'm convinced that God and all these like different types of angels from his universe can break their bodies down, just like the way they do it in Star Trek. That is a real technology that we don't understand. Those transporter beams that instantly does, that's actually possible. See, because the thing is like this, when people see things, like when they see like a demon or an angel or something like that, or aliens, like who's a big alien conspiracy, like all these alien people that have seen aliens, it's real. But the thing is like this, why is it real? Because we can't see it. See, like,
and they're all around us. That's the thing.
Wait, hold on a sec. Here, give her to me. I'll take her. But anyway, so here's the thing about all of this.
Hey. Our audience is probably like, what's going on?
I know, look, she likes
She's awake. That's Professor Dreg's daughter.
Likes to look at it. Yeah. So oh my goodness. But anyway, but here's the thing. Everybody is so warped on this concept of like, oh, there's these alternate, these dimensions, all these dimensions. Oh, we got, there's all these life and these other dimensions. Always talking about these other dimensions, and the truth is, no. Just like microwaves, can you see a microwave with the naked eye?
No.
How can you see a microwave? How can you see it? You know what I mean? How can you see a radio wave? How can you see a television wave? You can't see,
or a gamma ray for that matter.
Yeah. So, but that's dangerous. So, but things that aren't dangerous. I mean, microwaves are a little dangerous, but not really. I know. See, look, she's smiling and looking. She's funny.
Professor Dreg decided to bring his daughter into the mix.
So anyway, but think about this. If we cannot see all that radiation, the particle waves,
we just see visible light, which is one little sliver of that big spectrum, EM spectrum.
And most people can't see all that light. We can't, like,
some people are colorblind.
Yeah, no, but think about it. Like, it's even all the colors. We can't see all of it. All that, like, a lot of people have a hard time seeing. You wear glasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So our vision is very limited. We cannot see what's in our own universe. So if a person who knows how to travel like a radio wave or a microwave, or as Einstein put it,
light,
energy, right?
Yeah.
Which would be, because I'm almost positive the E in E equals MC squared would be God, because it's just would make perfect sense.
Pure energy, pure thought.
Yeah. So, and if people have that kind of ability to travel, as Einstein put it, and then the inverse with the special relativity theory, come on. They're all around us all the time. We just can't see it the same way we can't see microwaves and television.
Yeah, but here's also here's something that I don't want to get too scientific here because we got to end this. But one thing I want to add to that made me think is, I don't know the math behind this, but even for people who don't know the science, all you have to do is really think and observe the observable universe, right? Think about something like gravity, something that any kind of matter has. Even the smallest atom has this force called gravity, something that can either pull or repel, right? There's an aspect of gravity where it repulses. And molecular, atoms and what composes matter can be broken up, reshaped, split up, and as a result, you know what I mean? So when people talk about materializing and rematerializing and angels doing that, it's like, oh, I believe it. They just can. They just know how to do it, or they have the technology.
Because here's the thing that people don't realize about gravity: it also repels.
Yeah, that's what I said. It repels and it pulls.
Yes, and that's what it does. And a lot. Oh no, that's not true. Oh yes, it is.
Well, because all it is the repelling means it is being drawn to another source of matter. Is all it is, or another thing. You see what I mean? And you've got matter everywhere. So it's all a combination of pulling and pushing. That's really all it is, those forces. So that's why when people say, when we think about something like gravity, like, how the hell do you explain gravity? Like, that tells me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why our understanding of black holes are such BS, because.
You know what I think it is? It's a cop-out, because that's what you see, right? But it's all theorized. It's all like a black spot
of one. And you see all of these lights, like purple light, coming out of this black hole. And I'm thinking, well, there goes that theory. You know what I mean?
I never understood that, right? Because if it was so black and the gravity was so heavy, I know we're going off topic, why would there still be light around the event horizon? I never understood that. Like, what's giving it?
Because they don't know what they're talking about. Their math was wrong. It's just, it's the truth. And that's why I'm telling you now, there is such a thing as negative Kelvin. We just don't know it, because we've never, we could theorize all we want, but the Bible is the only example of what negative Kelvin can actually accomplish. Because I'm telling you, I'm fascinated with how Moses was aged and how his mind was destroyed. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it makes perfect sense. I'm telling you now. I mean, his mind wasn't totally destroyed, but You know,
I don't know. You go up the mountain, you talk to thunder and lightning, God appears to you in a burning bush in energy form. I mean, I'd go a little crazy too.
well, but it goes back to abuse. When a person is abused, it takes them a while to get back their bearings. See, men can handle it much better than women. Like I said, like from my own personal experience, only one lady survived it, and the guys might have, because come on, I mean, we got to be honest. Guys with sex, it's men were built to, they just were. And I have a kid, like a girl, which kind of sucks, but I mean, not for girls, but you know what I mean. But it's like, come on, like it's really bad on girls.
Yeah,
it just is. I mean,
Yeah. Do you have any real final thoughts? Because we really got to wrap this up.
No. Yeah, we're good, man. Like just like I said, the reason why pedophilia is mainstreamed is, so that these super predators who are also just happen to be our politicians have free reign at whatever it is that they can do.
Yeah, it's well said, guys.
Thing that they didn't want was because I gotta say this. The one thing that these people, super predators, didn't want was the Me Too movement. Like the Me Too movement was like and look, we got to be honest. Hollywood is ran by a bunch of Jewish people, like Woody Allen or Weinstein, whoever. Yeah. They love taking advantage of those young Hollywood, wannabes. They come from other states all across the country. A lot of them are minors. You know what I mean? But they're hot young chicks. They're untouched. They're virgins. Many of them, and then they lose their virginity to a Hollywood producer, and it's not illegal. Because, they go, well, she wanted to do this. She wanted to be famous. And I mentored her. And they always use the guise of mentorship to take advantage of these people.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And that's why it's like, when I say things like Jews or the Jewish faith or Islam or whatever, dude, those are cults because they take advantage of people through mentorship. Yeah. And but again, the Catholics were the same way. Like a lot of Christians were doing the same thing. Sandusky was a Christian dude. So was Joe Paterno. They always prayed, da-da-da-da-da. But like I said before, the United States is a unique type of Christianity that has never been labeled or anything like that. It's just look, they're Christians. And they do it the right way. And I believe that only through the American way can this stuff really end. But it's being mainstream right now because they want to destroy the American way of life.
I know, and it goes back to that, but that's well said. And I think I hope you guys got something out of this show. I know we always tend to ramble, but that's how our ideas get across. So thanks you guys for listening, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.